Brilliant. Hello, everyone.
Jeez.
It's bright.
It's bright, but the...
Thank you so
There we
much
go.
for joining us today. My name is Callie Tedder-Hares. Probably haven't heard or know of us yet. We're a bit of new kids on the block. We've been looking at working with Virgin for the last 3 years on their ship. I'm really, really, really excited to be here today with Michael on the stage to talk about lighting and talk about some of the lighting challenges faced in Newbuild and some of the opportunities as well. Michael and I met, I'm going to hand it, not going to take too much time, I'm going to hand over to you in a second. Michael and I met about 3.5 years ago. As Volume, there's 12 of us in the UK doing design, management, and interiors for Virgin. And Michael was one of, I think, 4 lighting agencies as collaborators. Michael and team looked at quite a lot of the spaces for Virgin in public areas, but really led on the innovation of kind of cabin lighting. We've worked a lot together through design challenges and innovation. We've spent a lot of time in mock-ups, tuning lights, changing colors, setting scenes. And I think out of that, I'm excited to hear about some of the challenges you've had on other ship lighting and all about the devil in the detail. We know that that's kind of the success of a great scheme.
Sure. Well, it's good to be here. I mean, just the fact that Toby and all the team put this together is incredible. So we should definitely tip the hat to him and his team for that. But on lighting in general, I'll try to keep it somewhat efficient here. And I know we're already getting off to a little bit of a late start. A little bit about myself and MRD. We're based in New York City. We're a lighting design firm. Our company has 3 divisions to it. We are a design firm first and foremost. That's what our foundation is. 15 years in business. We also have 2 other divisions, which is a build division and a custom division. And just a quick snippet on that, and I'm not trying to do a pitch here per se, but the build and the custom are sort of supporting the design. And one of the things that we found day one, really, is that you're only as good as your contractor. It doesn't matter if you're an interior designer, an architect, lighting designer. It really comes down to the people in the field. And what we found early on is that in order to really get the design and the integrity of design maintained from soup to nuts, you really kind of have to do it yourself. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to learn about it. You got to go to get educated, take risk, etc. So that's a little bit about us. Again, 15 years in ships. I would say about 80% of our work is in ships. The other 20, of course, land-based, hotels, commercial, retail projects. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Edge and Celebrity Edge and Virgin Voyages, the Scarlet Lady. And I'll just sort of, the Edge in general has been pretty well publicized by now in terms of just, it's got great feedback. Pushing boundaries, no risk, no reward is sort of my personal take on that project. I was talking about this with Kelly earlier today. In terms of lighting, which is what this session's about, really what we did was, as every project, is we are supporting what is being designed by the architects and other interior designers on the projects. And, less is more in a way. We are supporting. We want to stay out of the way. We want to support them. In this case, we had an amazing amount of talent on the team. Both of these projects, actually, Edge and Virgin, have an incredible amount of talent. And you just let them do their thing. We support them, sort of stay out of the way in a way. I'm showing some pictures now up here on Virgin. As Kelly was saying a second ago, we were one of 4 design firms on Virgin. On Edge, we did the whole ship, which is normally what we do. On Virgin, we were one of 4 firms. And most of our time, at least my time personally within our team, was spent on the cabins. Now, again, these images, most everyone has seen them by now. And super successful. To go back on Edge for a little bit, is that one of the things that led to successes there was the fact that we had a great shipyard that was willing to take risk with us. The owner knows what they want. They've been doing ships for many years, of course. We had an incredible amount of talent, as I said a second ago. And really the shipyard, as with most contracts, they could have kind of put their foot down and said, no, this is the fixture, or this is the device, this is what you get, take it or leave it. The St. Nazaire folks were really great about listening to us, letting us try new things, and it was really successful. So worked out well.
We know that I think some of the best projects have some big challenges, and I think the more challenges sometimes create more innovation and more collaboration together. Do you want to talk a little bit of us about how, what challenges you faced and how those challenges turned into the success that they are and created opportunities in lighting?
Sure. One of the things with lighting in general, it doesn't matter if it's a cruise ship or it's a hotel, in general, the technology changes every 6 months, and this is a massive issue. We don't have any control over it. It is what it is. The best thing we can do is just kind of stay ahead of it as much as we can in discussions with manufacturers and other integrators and what have you. So that was one of the challenges, and that's a global challenge that we have, but also specifically in cruise ships where you're designing something right now that's going to be coming out in 4 years. That's a challenge. Getting back to Edge, again, the shipyard, we had an amazing team, creative team on Edge, and it speaks for itself. I think that the fact that the yard was willing to listen and let us they included us into the process. If they would have been a bit more sort of standoffish in a way and just let us, we'll do your thing, you do your thing, we'll do our thing, then we wouldn't have gotten this, for one thing. So challenges for Edge was the fact that, again, there was some risks there. The reference vessel was Celebrity Equinox, which is a pretty good reference, but there were some challenges on complexity, so they worked with us on that. And then over on the Virgin side of things, it was a different ball of wax in general. I think some of the challenges, this is just one of the shots from Edge, and one of the common denominators between Edge and on the Virgin project is mock-ups. So this is a big issue again, and it's not just technology, but we were talking about, I heard the guys earlier talking about ship orders. Steve mentioned there was 124. I think now we're up to 137, and just the 1 hour that's passed, it seems like it's changing by the minute. The challenge is time. So we don't have a challenge on talent. We got an amazing creative pool of people. There's a lot of new people coming into the industry as well, which is great. It's just, again, you're coming down to the contractor, and the fact that you're only as good as them in the end, and their capabilities and what they're able to facilitate. So shipyards are strained on their own resources, and it's a challenge. So I'm showing some images here on Virgin, and this was great. This was a mock-up in Leighton, which is just outside of London. This was the first mock-up for the cabins. Owner did this, which was really great. Normally, as a lot of you guys know, on the mock-up side of thing, it's part of the yard contract, so the yard will facilitate that. They did facilitate that on this project, but what Virgin did was they spent an extra amount of time beforehand going in and creating their own model, which was basically plywood and white paint. And it really helped workshop a lot of creative ideas. We worked it all out before we started hitting the timelines and the deliverables from the shipyard. And we were on schedule the entire project, which is, I think that was a first for me, which is pretty remarkable.
And I think it helps, I know from our experience working together, it helps with decision making, and it helps with in our collaboration between architect and lighting designer, and also from a ship owner point of view. We were able to solve all of those problems, have the right people in the room, and even just tuning the lights together to get the exact shade of red or whatever it is. It helped. It helped with the success of actually building.
Well, so let me just show this first image here. This was the first iteration of the mock-up in Leighton, London for Virgin. Then this next one was the next iteration. You can see the amount of difference. And again, this is all owner supply. So my personal 2 cents in this is I wish that my hope is that the owners start spending more time outside of the contract to get ahead on the concept side of things, holistically. It's not just about lighting, of course, it's about the whole project. We're doing that right now. I just saw Ray from Princess here. That was great to see him, because we're doing that now on Princess, their next new build. We've got, shouldn't say that too loud, but we've got enough time to start working through some ideations and creative process. We're not immediately dropped into a yard schedule and designing as we're drafting at the same time, which has been the norm for a little while now. You have to make time outside of it. And one of the things is, it was funny, I was just getting to an image here a second. You were asking about challenges a second ago. A different topic is that reference and complexity. So the reference vessel, Callie, was for Virgin was Royal Princess or Regal?
Royal.
Royal Princess. And so when I think of Virgin, that project in general, there was a lot of clever solutions, I think, is really how it sums it up. And so I'm showing this image. I Google searched this, cruise ship balcony, and this is an amazing picture. I love it. A couple of miserable people on a balcony there. But what I was really looking for was the, these balcony lights that you see here. There's typically, again, if the industry is used to just sort of copying and pasting, that's the mentality. And I'm not interested in that. I think most of us in this room, creative people are not interested in that. So in this particular example, why I'm showing that is basing this off of reference. We had one balcony fixture, which nobody really ever spends any time thinking about. In this particular case, how do we take that one fixture and turn it into something that's really interesting? So this was the mock-up in Genoa. This was when the Yard, of course, started doing their mock-up. And what we decided to do, again, collaboratively, it was a great collaborative process with owner and architects, is we took that one single point, that one standard balcony light that you're going to see on every ship, and we turned it into something really remarkable, which was an indirect RGB white color mixing fixture here. These are just some detailed pictures. And what's happening is, instead of just having that standard fixture mount on a bulkhead, we're actually now illuminating. We're doing an indirect bounce light up onto the ceiling, straight back down. Each balcony is individually controlled from the bridge, so we can start to color mix and get what we need. And I've got a couple of images in here. There you can first of all see the different colors that we're able to get. There's the white light picture in there as well, because there was a concern from some that, what if we needed to have that function? Well, we have
flexibility.
It. Exactly.
Yeah.
We've got a switch on the wall still. The guest can still go and press this, and it's going to turn white. But really, it's about branding, and it's also about demographics on Virgin. As we all know, they've really been they've keyed in on what their demographic is, with adult only, but also what their branding is. I think they do a great job with that. I've got this, all good mock-ups there's going to be some food involved for sure. So I have this random pizza in there. I think that's from Nevi. As I was
found that in your files, didn't you?
This is just outside of the Genoa shipyard. Fantastic pizza there. So yeah, late night mock-ups going on, shows the capabilities of what we're doing, and ultimately, this is what we're going to do. I mean, this is pretty remarkable. Every single balcony. This is just, of course, a couple of examples of what we're able to do, is to take all those balconies and individually mix them from one color to the next. It's all about branding, it's all about design, and it's just, again, how did we take that one simple fixture and turn it into something really clever and creative?
Really special. Great. Talking about current trends, where do you see the trends for lighting going? And we know things change quite quickly, particularly in technology. And what opportunities do you think for those kind of rapid changes are there in the shipyards and owners and designers to kind of address these trends?
There's a number of things there. I'm going to go through some of them, but I think the first thing is that we just kind of have to acknowledge the fact that we have an incredible amount of opportunity. There's an incredible amount of orders out there. The bar has been raised. That'd be an understatement. So I think that where lighting is heading is that as an industry, we have to get better at it. The level, lighting in general, like I said earlier, every 6 months it's changing. The technology is doing this, and it keeps doing this, and it's been doing that for years. The problem is that the shipyards, and I'm not condemning or criticizing. This is a problem on and off, ships and land alike. But the problem is that contractors are just sort of flat in terms of knowledge of lighting. It's the one discipline, I think, I'm a little biased in saying that, but I think it's true. It's the one discipline out of all of the different parts of the creative process and the creative teamwork, mind you, that is just, it's a moving target. So what I'd like to see is more education in general. Integrators, the shipyards, everybody in general has to get more educated on what lighting can do. for one thing. And just because a light fixture can color change and does everything you want it to do doesn't mean you have to do it like that as well, because we've seen a lot of bad lighting for a long time. We've all seen, I live in New York, of course, and you go anywhere in Times Square or wherever, any large city for that matter, and you still have that ongoing color roll of a fixture. It just kind of drives me crazy. It doesn't have to do that if you don't want it to do that. Just because the ship looks like that over here on the Virgin side doesn't mean it's always going to look like that, or it's going to be doing a dancing show or something. So the point is that we need to get more educated. I don't know how to solve that problem. I don't have that answer, but that's one thing. But that is definitely a trend, and that needs to happen. I think there's some shows that are happening similar to this one, actually, for the first time for interiors. It's great. There are there's more lighting shows that are starting to happen now. But to start drilling down a bit more on just some of the notes that I put together really quickly, is that some of the early challenges with LED was the dimming of it. It would flicker, and this was a big problem. You were trying to integrate it with existing systems on board ships, and it wouldn't work, of course. And so, long story short, I'm not going to go too technical here, but my first note up there is more of the same. So what we found is 0 to 10 volt is a technology. I hate to say it's been around for 30 years or so, at least, maybe more. Is a very stable way of dimming LED successfully. A lot of the shipyards now get it. The problem is that the challenge with that, rather, is that it comes with a cost. It's a 5-wire instead of a 3-wire, so you've got more copper. It's heavier, takes up more space in your cable tray. So this is things that you wouldn't normally think about in a creative process, but you need to think of it. So that's one thing. We're going to be doing more of the dolly. So dolly is it's a type of lighting control protocol. It's mostly found in Europe. It's super successful. Why we don't do it here in the States, I don't know. But shipyards are doing more of that, so we're going to continue to do more of that. DMX is for mostly theatrical and entertainment-related fixtures, color mixing, etc. So there's going to be much more of that. The nice thing is that there's going to be fewer dimming racks, and that's what's happening right now quite a bit. Well, even going back to Oasis, actually, 2009, in the theater. CV nixed a lot of the racks there. Everything is LED now, so it's digital dimming. You don't require these big, heavy dimming racks anymore. What we'd like to see on that is that if we require fewer racks, I'm hoping that we get the savings on the electrical lockers as well, because as a lot of us in this room know, they haven't changed. They stay the same size, and you can drive a Cadillac into these lockers. We'd like to see those smaller. Let's gain more space out in the public space. So there's going to be more of that. And then also we've got PoE. I mentioned this, so power over Ethernet. We've dabbled a little bit about this within our company, and the challenge with power over Ethernet for lighting in general is it's all home run based. It's all Cat5 cable. You end up getting these massive amounts of bundles of wires and stuff in your ceilings, and I don't really think not in the near future, I don't really see that as a viable solution. Plus, there's not enough components. There will be more. Answering the question of trends, it is happening. It's just slow. And, of course, the choice of fixtures as well for power over Ethernet. Li-Fi is a new technology. This whole slide right here, I could probably do a half hour on itself. But lighting controls and data is massive right now. Philips, we do a lot of work with Philips, and Philips was one of the main leaders in terms of integrating data collection points into their own fixtures, so that you don't have to have a fixture here and then a data collection here, or occupancy sensor or something like that. And data is king. We all know that. It's heading there. We'd like to see cleaner ceilings from a creative viewpoint. All architects, interior designers,
Absolutely.
and lighting, we want to see cleaner ceilings. So we don't want to see a fixture in a. But that's coming. It is 100% coming. Bluetooth, mesh networks. Mesh has been around in general for a long time. Some of these icons up here are companies that are, other than Zoomtobel Group, which has been around a long time. These are all new companies. And again, as lighting is doing this every 6 months, you kind of have to familiarize yourself with this, because that train has left the station, and if you don't get on it, you're going to be left out. So we have to familiarize ourselves with these. It's super fascinating too. You can Google and go on to some of these websites of BubblyNet and Silvair, really cool stuff, and they make it easy enough to understand on layman's terms, and just even on a residential level. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there and a lot of fun. And then that's pretty much what I've got here on, I believe, nope, sorry, one more thing here. Smaller footprint, yeah, that's a big one. So in similar fashion to the racks, the dimming racks I was saying earlier about reduced, different types of lighting protocol now available, smaller racks needed. I'm hoping we get smaller electrical lockers. Overall, everything is becoming smaller. LED chips are becoming smaller. The amount of the heat dissipation, heat sinks that are required, on the backs of every single fixture are becoming smaller. The problem is a lot of the manufacturers the mentality is that they think brighter is better. It's not. It's actually a problem for us. But in general, smaller footprint, smaller form factors are coming. Right. Now we need smaller fan coil units and ceilings, hopefully. So we'll see. But those are just some of the high-level items that we're seeing right now. And that's where we're at.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to open it up to anyone in the audience, if there were any questions for Michael, to kind of talk about any of the challenges or the successes from Celebrity Edge or Virgin Voyages. If there's any questions? Yeah?
Hi, Lisa Burgess from New River Fine Art. We supply art to the cruise ship industry, hotels, private homes, and private yachts as well. You mentioned early on about the retrofitting from older systems to newer and the problems and the flickering and things like that. Have you had what type of successes have you had with the retrofitting? We're experiencing a lot of problems with that, going from halogen to LED and using some of the newer systems and trying to upgrade, and we're finding a lot of problems happening with that.
Right. It's a great question. There's no two projects alike almost, even within sister ships of the same class, I find. We do a lot of renovations, actually, and originally this session was on new build and revitalization, but we only have so much time. The short version is that what I found early on, long time ago, when revites started becoming large projects, rather than just changing carpet out and painting the side of the ship, they were full-on interior renovations, is that we do not, as a rule of thumb, we do not repurpose cable, period. Because as soon as the ship is delivered to the ship owner, the ship gets to do what they want with it. And again, I'm not trying to criticize here, but you never know what happens on the ceiling. And so fast forward a few years from then, when it's time to do a renovation, anything can happen to the existing circuits in the ceiling. So I've seen coffee makers tied to lighting circuits, tried to dim a popcorn machine once. That didn't go too well, as you can imagine. So as a general rule of thumb, we just run fresh cable. And when we do this, we now have control over what's at the other end of that cable. So yes, it has to be a proper spec of the fixture, no question. But we also have to make sure it has the right component. And there are a lot of good components out there that will be compatible. I think a lot of times the mentality is, to answer your question specifically, is that it's not a plug-and-play situation. That was the old mentality. It actually still is, unfortunately. I see you shaking your head. It's true. We have to get out of that, and we have to start to understand that we need a fresh cable from dimming to the light source. And that's what I found to work for us. And it's actually, it's not so much that it's more expensive. If you want a successful project, you have to do it, and it's really not that expensive. So depending on the scale of the project you're talking about, but that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question, if there's another one in the audience. Just over here.
Hi, good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
We are an Israeli company in the digital world, very advanced in LED. Everything is wireless, no cables, fantastic, no infrastructure. And we are very successful in our area, and we have decided that we are entering this industry. So we are preparing all our homework to enter them properly. And if people are interested, give me your cards and we will send information. I would like to talk to you afterwards, Michael, and to give you more information. The name of the company is Jugano, Juganu. The way we do it is our LEDs, they come with Wi-Fi, and they come with cameras, and we incorporate artificial intelligence.
Thank you.
So we have full control of all the lights, of all the colors. It's a very innovative company, and we will gladly send information whoever's interested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It'd be really great to talk after. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Michael? Well, make sure you grab him afterwards, because I don't think he's here long. Today?
No.
Not long today.
No joke, I'm off to a cruise tonight.
Yeah, family cruise.
Family
See,
cruise,
that's
13
dedication.
of us. Thanks for coming, everybody. Really appreciate your time. I'm just going to be back at the corner here afterwards. If you want to stop by, if you have any questions, I'd love to give you my card. We could talk a bit more details and hopefully talk about your particular item as well on control. But thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
All right.